Hey, Rich in Oklahoma. I'm back. Hey, this third segment I'm putting out is going to explain a few things of how to prep and clean the timing cover, how to reinstall the chains, and how to inspect yourself to make sure that you have everything correct as far as before starting. So I'm going to let you know the reason for I am talking at this point is because I did make a mistake on my motor. So to owe up to that is I'm going to go through some explanation of what I do to save myself, which I did, any future headaches that might help you. So anytime that I've rebuilt motors, whether it be a motorcycle, a V8, V6, straight six, four-cylinder, it don't matter. Dual overhead cab, it does not matter what you do. This is a good rule of thumb. And if you go by this rule of thumb, you're going to save yourself time in labor for you and the customer or yourself. You're going to save your time. Mainly, you're going to save the headache. Okay. So after I rebuild the motor, I always turn the motor over by hand, at least a minimum of 8 times. A minimum. Because you don't want none of the valves hanging down and slapping a piston and getting stupid, and it's just aggravating. But still at that point, you can make a correction. Okay? Then the next step, if you are satisfied with that step, the next step you should be doing is do a compression test. Always. Because you'll know right away if you got everything dialed in exactly how you're supposed to. Because imagine this. You go and put spark and fuel, which means you have to assemble the whole motor, belts, coolant, the whole 9 yards, and then you fire it up and you got no compression. So when I did my compression test, the engine's still basically apart. All I had on there was a timing cover. No compression. I was like, oh boy, here we go. So with that note, by doing these steps, I didn't have the motor completely together. Okay. So what I discovered is that on the intake side, I was off basically 160. The notches were not where they were supposed to be. If I had paid attention, I would have noticed that the exhaust cam faces, as you're looking at the motor, they will face to the right, and the intake will face to the left. When it does that, there'll be the smaller notch that will be up on top that goes on your timing chain that has the little yellow mark on the timing chain, so you know that everything is TDC. Well, in my situation, I used the other mark that's on there, and I didn't look at the cam. Okay. So no harm, no foul. I was able to catch it. But you should always do those steps to save yourself. You should, again, I'm repeating myself, again, you should turn the motor over. If you're good with that, fine. Do a compression test. If that's good, send it. Put it back together. Do everything in your due diligence as far as what you do and torque and all that kind of stuff. And everything should turn out just fine. But save yourself that headache by just doing a few little steps. Hand crank, compression test, and then go on. If those all fall into place, it's good to go. Hey, I want to tell you all, I know my videos are coming out a little bit slow, but I'm 65. Yeah, I'm probably not the fastest. I'm not the greatest editor. It takes me time to put these videos together. But I want to let you know I still want to put the content out there, and I super appreciate everyone that watches the videos. I super appreciate the people that subscribe, and I really appreciate all those that give me the thumbs up, that they like what they watch. If you got any recommendations, hey, throw that down on me. Or if you want to see an upcoming project that you think I might be able to handle, let me know. My next video coming up, though, in the next couple of weeks is going to be on the Nissan. I got it all together, and I tell you what, the shift cable fell off. But right now we're only concerned about the engine. That other video will come up, and I'll talk about what you got to do to fix that. But anyway, hey, thanks again. And now I'll let you guys watch the video. You'll see where I made the mistake. You can comment if you want to. But I will have the third segment in that video will show where I corrected the problem and went on from there. But at the same time, when I went to go back to check the recordings, I didn't have one of me starting the Nissan to be sure it was okay. So guess what, guys? I got you here now. There we go. I'm fine. Sounds like a top. Hey guys, thanks. I'll let the video continue on. Okay, timing chain. My gosh. It's a little bit of a fight. Alright, so got a little mark right here. Let's see if I can get all this in here for you. Got a mark right here. It's indented right there. That goes to that mark. This big old dent goes to that mark right there. Now what I had to do was, because I'm by myself, I had to put a zip tie in here because every time I'd roll this up like this, it would undo itself and then come off of the timing mark down there. Now the timing mark down there, let's see if I can get that in here. On that lower one right there, you will see the little brownish or maybe bluish chain along with the dot, and that's where that's supposed to be. Okay. Now I got to put together my tensioner and the guide, and then we'll be going to the next step. All right, let me get that together, and then we'll see where that goes. This will be the intake cam. This will be the exhaust cam. Timing marks. It's very important from what I found, obviously. So this has a little notch on the cam itself. This yellow piece is going to go here. Going to follow over to the intake cam. Again, this one here is going to have this big, huge notch, and then it's going to go right there. Then, as you go down, we're going to see if I can get this to line up so you can see. And what we're looking at right there is the focus. There we go. You can see that little dot on the gear, and you see that little bluing of a chain link, and then that's where that's supposed to be. Now, from my understanding, this is very important. In this stage where nothing is pressurized, oiled, or anything, okay? Very important. Do not go backwards. Do not turn this motor backwards. If you do, you could possibly make this chain jump, and then you'll never know it. You can go forward, normal rate of turn, but don't ever hand go backwards, because it loosens up all of the tensioners, the oilers, and all that, and you can possibly, a strong possibility, it'll jump a tooth and you won't even know it. I'm telling you guys, this education on this thing, I'm not one of those guys who's just, you know, throw it on here, look, here's the timing marks. I'm trying to give you hints. Whatever you do, do not go backwards. All right. I'm going to call it for the night. See if we can muster up a little bit more tomorrow morning. Hey, thanks for all coming by and swinging, and we'll see what we can do next. All right, we're gone. Okay, a little quick note. On the Nissan, when you have the timing cover off, okay, I see where some people say, oh, just replace the whole timing cover. Well, that's like $200. So why do they want to replace it? Here's why, guys. This hole right here, is where oil comes in from the block. This right here is an oiler. Hold on 1 second. Okay. This is a parts washer, so it's thin enough like oil and stuff. If you go to here, there. You see what I mean right there? There are 3 holes on that are supposed to be like an oiler to sprinkle onto the timing chain. Okay? I think what they're saying is to replace it is because when I took this apart, 2 of those were plugged up. So just to let you know, I had 2 of them that were plugged up. So it's just a good idea. And I went and bead blasted this and made it all look, you know, a lot better than what it was. But that was, I think what they're talking about, that right there needs to be clear. And there's 3 holes in there. That dang light is so bright. Where are we at? There's 1 right there on top, and then there's 2 on the sides. Okay? So, you can either when I sandblasted this, I covered up this hole so the sand and grit wouldn't get in there. 2, I covered this up so again, any finer grades of sand would not get inside that hole or dust. That way it would keep that clear. Now I'm going to wash this off and I'm going to blow air through there just to be sure that I got no sand particles in there. But it's your choice. But if you're doing this type of work, you better check to make sure that that right there is clear. Otherwise, you're going to do all this work, put it back together, and then you're going to burn up the bearing right there and the chain. And you will not be happy. So, anyway, we'll update a little bit later. So here's what we got. Now, this is the front timing cover. And what I have done is I have cleaned this up. I have now discovered why they want you to replace this timing cover. Let me flip it around for you so you understand why they want you to. Or you can do what I did, which I'll explain here in a second. Okay. There's a few things that are happening that are all going on at the same time. I'm going to post a little video right after this so you can see what I'm talking about. I put this in my parts cleaner because this was just covered and it was like a tannish brown looking color everywhere. So when I put it in my parts cleaner, you'll see in the video, as I put it down through here, only 1 of these holes, apparently there's 3 holes here, which I didn't know until, again, investigating. There's 3 holes here. And 1 goes this way, 1 goes this way, 1 goes that way. So you'll see in that video, as I'm pouring the fluid through here, it goes through here. And then these 3 little holes here lubricate the timing chains, because 1 is going to up to the cams, and the other one's going down to the oil pump. Okay. Now, that all being said, when I laid this on my floor, before I did anything, I laid it on my floor next to the valve cover. Let me just show you real quick. I had put it down here on the floor. Now, you see that little spot right there? Well, I picked up the valve cover, I picked up the timing cover, I'm going to go clean them. I come back and I find this on the floor. So I'm like, wow, that is super crazy. It looks just as dirty as the rest of the oil. Like, where did it come from? So, with that being said, I searched this thing all over the place, in, out, tore out the PCV valve, trying to figure out, did it come from inside of there? I looked down inside there, there's no way for it to get out. I was like, wow. Okay, because remember the valve cover and the timing cover were there. Again, never took one apart. So I thought it came out of here, because, to be honest, it almost wants to fit. And I thought, well, that seems kind of crazy. Why would it? See, it just drops right in. And I thought, well, that's it. But as the more I looked at it, the more I was like, no, that's probably not right. So I went on the old internet and I searched, I don't know how many different ways that you could word or refer to small screen cool oiling system. I don't know. Well, I discovered after quite a few hours of time that it came out of up here. Oh, hold on. It'd come out of there. Now, if you take one of these apart, you've never taken one apart and you don't know that, and you lose this, if you lose it, okay, so I'm going to flip this back around. I'll show you what it goes to. So it goes here. It's on the other side of this hole. On the other side of that hole is that little tiny hole right there. Whoop, right there. It'll feed in there. And what goes inside of there is this sensor right here. So, that being said, I think what that is designed for is to catch any debris that comes from the motor that goes through here, that goes through there, goes up inside of here, so it doesn't wipe out that sensor. Because I'm sure if you had a lot of junk going through your motor because you're not changing your oil, if it goes into there, then it's going to mess that up and give you all a bunch of crazy codes that probably ain't nothing wrong with your motor, except for you got a bunch of codes for that nonsense. Now, I notice you all looking. Yes, I polished that. I shined it up. It doesn't come that way. I promise you it don't come that way. I was just bored because I'm waiting for my head to come back. So anyway, so it comes up through here. Oop. It goes in there. This goes down here. Now, I got something else for you. These are all just little tips. You got these little studs sticking up right here. There's two of them, okay? When I took this off, and then when I went to go put it back on, because it was tough coming off, it barely went on. I don't know why, but what you need to do is either drill that hole out just a little bit bigger. And I think here's why. Remember, never taken one apart before. When you go set that on there, I'm flat right now. I'm literally flat right now. Okay? Flat. And that's what you want. But if you have any resistance on this coming or going on, then as you got your silicone around the edges, to me, you're just fighting those right there. And then that could leave a gap that you may not be aware of because it's not sitting down. It's not sitting down flat. So just be aware of that. That way you have an idea on that. Yeah, I'm replacing the front crank seal, obviously. There's other seals that are going to get replaced. There's one right here. There's another one. And you're going to have to pay attention. There's a seal that goes here. There's a seal that goes here. There's a little bit of goober. It's supposed to go here. It's insane. So guys, pay attention. Because I'm telling you right now, if that screen wasn't on my floor, which would have meant it fell out somewhere else during transportation or inside the shop here or whatever, not that that would have affected the engine running now, but it would eventually would have done something. And then I just would have never known it. So when you take things apart, you got to pay attention. And during this, when you're taking this off, when you're taking that off, and if you don't know, this is wide open. So you're sitting there moving this thing back and forth and prying on it and trying to get it off of here and this and that. If it was just to move just the wrong way, it could have fell off down inside there. And again, you'd never know it. You'd never know it. So those are things to look out for. So anyway, that's a couple of little tips I got for you guys. That's what's going on, and hopefully I can get some of these videos together and a little more correct so that you have an understanding of what we're doing. So, all right, hold on. Something else too. This right here is good practice. This is good practice. When you're not going to be immediately putting on your valve cover or whatever's on top of the motor, this is definitely good practice. I don't care if you're a novice or if you've been doing this for a minute, because I'm getting ready to go in for the night, okay? And I don't need to have anything flying around inside here and have a dang nut or a bolt or a washer or something slide down inside there. Plus, I had put this exhaust manifold back together, and I don't like taking chances. And I don't think you guys should be taking chances as well. So this would be a good tip for you, that anytime you're doing work and the motor is exposed, come on. Do everything that you can to, cover it up until you get to that point. I'm not ready yet. Like I said, I'm getting ready to go in. It's, I don't know, it's probably 7, 8 o'clock at night. And I'm going to get a really good start on it tomorrow morning. And we'll probably have some more videos going on for that. But just like I said, just letting you know that you guys are competent. I mean, I have the full confidence that you all know what you're doing. I think some people just need a small direction as far as the little hints that no one likes to talk about, like cover your motor up. I mean, it's really good practice, is all I can say. So far I put the motor together, head's back on, obviously you can see. Let's see if I can, when you're putting this back together, right now I know these are out of place because I've already cranked the motor around to make sure I had compression. I have now compression, but I have it back up on TDC, okay? The important thing is to remember is right here. These two, your intake and exhaust, so long as you're on your crank TDC, these two here, the yellow marks are where they're supposed to be. These two here are supposed to be facing opposite of each other, okay? So I'm going to show you the mistake I made, and hopefully you won't make the same mistake. If we look under here, where is it at? Oh, there it is. See that right there? I thought that was my marking line. Yeah, oops. It's actually that line. Hopper's hanging on for dear life at 65 miles an hour. He's hanging on. Oh, gone. That's what happens when you go up to 67 miles an hour.